Hi there, friends. Roxanne Steed here. I hope you guys are hanging in there in this very weird end of the year. This year has been like a roller coaster ride, full of good, full of crazy, full of weird, everything in between. So I just thought I'd say hi. My heart is with you guys. This has been such a crazy time. I do want to invite you if you're looking for something fun to do. I'm starting another introduction to um, sketchbook journaling class in January. And anyway, I've got more about that on my website. But for today, I want to show you some things that I've been doing recently, some what I call sketch hikes. It's Connecticut in winter and it's chilly and dreary. Some days are wicked cold, some days are pretty bearable. Some days are sunny and bright, some are dreary, gray, wet and drippy and muddy, and so there's everything in between. So I just wanted to show some of the things that I've been working on in my sketchbook recently. Just simple things that are fun because it's right before the holidays, things were crazy busy. We were planning to go on a trip and we didn't go on a trip, and um, all of that. I'm sure you guys are right there with me on that. So let me show you how I've been having fun. So I've been taking some local sketch walks, and what I've been doing when it's really super cold is just doing the sketch. So I go out on location, bring a couple of my favorite pens. So my book and my pens, that's it. I leave the paints at home. And when you sit and stare at something for a while, you kind of get a little memory in your head of what the colors should be if you come right home and paint it right away. So we had a kind of a still day. I didn't write the temperature down. It was back on December 9th. So I don't remember how cold it was other than I had my big heavy coat on. It was cold, but I was just sketching some of these dried weeds because there's some really interesting stuff. I was surprised to see this still out there. I thought it would be all shriveled up, dried up by now. It's this thing called Carolina horse nettle, and it looks like those little yellow cherry tomatoes, but it's not. It's actually highly poisonous. It's got nasty, wicked thorns on there. And it's from the nightshade family. One of the nicknames for it is devil's tomato. It looks like a devil's tomato. Anyway, I found some bittersweet, which is all through the woods. I mean, the stuff is wicked. Just climbs up trees and chokes them out. And it was curling up a bunch of dried goldenrod plumes. It was interesting to see the old nesting box in the field and some sumac and some other, interesting little weeds. And then I've been doing another little project where I'll go out to a location, and on the right side of the page, I'll lay my sketch or my phone down, draw around it to have a nice little box, nice contained space. And I will look for a little scene out in the distance that kind of catches my eye. And then I'll do a close-up of something in that scene that's really fascinating to me. So these sumac dried up things were really interesting to me. I was standing at the edge of this field on the path, and there's these red plumy looking stalks of these little clustered berries, and they're so pretty. This color is so rich, and it's along the edge of the cove. There's big evergreens and cedars, and I just wanted to catch this mass of shapes. It's such a pretty color, and all this kind of golden straw that the grasses are all dried up. It's a lot of fun. So this is what a sketch will look like when I come home. And I'll stay out on location until, as long as my hands hold out. I've got little fingerless gloves. And as long as it's not too horribly windy, I can get some, pretty interesting sketches in. So I remember that the grasses are the grasses are what caught my eye along the edge of this cove. And they had all this beautiful movement within them. And then the stones along the edges of the water were kind of all up around the edges of that. So I may continue the stones up here a little bit, but when I go to paint these, I remember these vivid, bright yellows and some golds and maybe little bits of green left over, and then all these darks that were down among the bottom of those. I can't wait to get to paint that. And then the next sketch I did was out at Waterford Beach. There's this really pretty cove out there and this big outcropping. There's cedar trees along here and some deciduous trees too. But I just love this little curve of beach. It's so, I don't know, it's pretty every part of the year. And I remember it was kind of a hazy, cloudy day that day, and the sun was just really trying to burn through. And then of course I had to put a little mussel shell in there. Another time I was out at Haley Farm again, and these Phragmites, you know, they're invasive plants. I realize that, but they're, even at that, there is a beauty to them as well. And there's a particular cedar tree and all these Phragmites coming up at the edge of the cove. And I just was fascinated at the way, you know, on a design theme, how these fluffy heads of these things intersected these bars of color behind them. I thought it was really interesting. So anyway, I'm hoping to get out today. It's kind of gray and yucky out, but you know, even on gray days, you can find some really pretty things to look at. And so it doesn't look like it's very windy. It's in the low 40s, which here in coastal New England can be kind of raw and cold, but I am going. And of course, what's funny is I was all dressed up for a meeting today. So of course, you know, I look all nice and clean, and I'm thinking I got to go change because I'm going to be out walking through mud and stuff, and mud and brambles. So anyway, don't let gray days stop you and cold days. So I finally learned to get out and deal with the cold on most days. And actually just that thought of getting outside just makes me feel a whole lot better. So maybe it will do the same thing for you. So get your sketchbook, get outside. And if you are local to Southeastern Connecticut and you want to hear me talk a little bit more about this whole idea, we are giving a book talk, and I have since moved the book. But that painting that you see up there over my window, that's the cover of this book called Earth and Sky, that Judy Benson wrote the essays and I did the illustrations in there. We're going to be giving a book talk at the Groton Public Library on Sunday, the 9th of January from 2 to 4 in the afternoon. And I'll be talking about this very thing of tips for winter sketch walks. So even if you're a beginner, it's you can do this. You can do this. You need to do this. Anyway, have a great new year. Hope there are better things coming for us in the new year. Bye. See you around.